Welcome to Arts and Crafts with Luba Carlson. This is a painting episode, and this is a continuation of this piece here that we're trying to kind of create. In the first episode of creating this, what we did was we created a sketch of the flower, and then we painted the flower, the petals, the colors that we wanted to. Then we allowed it to dry, and so now this is ready for the black outline and for highlights. So let's start with our black outline first, and here is what we're going to need. Of course, you're going to need black paint, and I will be using a round brush. I'm not sure what size it is. I think it's like size 6. It's not a liner brush. It's a little bit bigger than a liner brush. So it really doesn't matter. If it's easier for you to use a liner brush, go ahead and use that. And my acrylic paint, I like to put it in the well and like fill it up maybe a halfway. And then I'll use the big brush for that to just save the time, because then I like to bring quite a bit of water into this paint. Okay, and so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to achieve a consistency of melted ice cream so that it is easier to paint with, and it will help it move better on the canvas, and it'll feel more like ink rather than paint. So let's see if we're there yet. I think maybe. And the best way to check is to just fill your brush and go on the outside of this flower. It won't hurt anything, right? So you just start on the outside and you go around and you don't stop, and you just look for how long this will last you, okay? How long this fill of the brush actually goes through. So this is good. This is exactly what I'm looking for. You want to make sure that as you're painting, your paint is not leaving any blobs behind that. Like you're not building up texture with paint. You just want it to go flat on, just like ink, okay? So I'm going to turn this around, and I will start with the center. And I will just outline all the lines that we created for the flower. Just very carefully. You just go around. Do not let go. Do not stop. Go around. Maybe make a couple of rounds with that. And check. If you are happy with how the paint is laying, if there's no spots to correct, you're done. If there's something to correct, start somewhere where the correction is not happening. Start somewhere good. Like I don't like what happens here. It's not a rounded line. It's a little bit, it has a little bit of an angle here. So I'm not really happy about that. So I'm gonna go start with this side and then carefully bring it around and in to have it finished. Now I'm going to move on to the petals, and I am going to create my petals just the same way. Just go the same way you drew them with your pencil. Once you run out of the paint, you stop. Sometimes it's easier to go up, and sometimes it's easier to go down. Do what works best for your hand. I kind of tend to do both, because now I'm going to go back and fix the line the way I like it. Okay, now there is quite a bit of paint in this line here. I use my pinky to rest my hand on the canvas so that I have a better control of the brush. And then I just move it up a little bit again so there is no puddles. We do not want to have any puddles and stuff like that. Okay, next. Maybe this one. Also, feel free to turn your canvas to make this easier for you. Don't feel like you cannot turn the canvas around. Now I'm gonna start from the bottom again and do this again. And maybe do it one more time because I got like a scratchy line over here. I don't really like it. So go back. That looks good. Let's move on to the next petal. The harder you press on your brush, the thicker your line's going to be. So keep that in mind. I decided to finish this line before I bring that other petal in, because I was a little bit afraid that I'll go over. Right here, let's finish this first. Okay, and my brush is starting to do weird things, probably because there is a lot of water in it, so I'm just gonna tap on the paper towel and then swish it gently again, just to make sure that the paint is not separating from the water. And then I'm going back, just like that. And then finish this one. Here we go. And sometimes, even though it looks like you got a good coverage, when the paint dries, you will notice that there's still some like little dots of color shining through. So that's when we want to go back and fix that. And if we don't see anything, then leave it and look at it one more time later. That's all. It's all good. Okay, and so now we're going to create depth in between the petals, which we are going to do by adding a little curve in between the petals, like so. So you're gonna start on the petal, then you're gonna go into the curve here, and then go back to your petal, and then we're gonna color this part with black. Just paint it with black, and see how here your petals are lifted right away, and here they're like a little bit still a little bit flat. So this is what we're doing next. And go around. My hand did a funny thing here. I don't know why. It didn't do the dip, it went the other way, but that's okay. Sometimes things happen. Okay, and here. And then we're gonna do the same thing right here. Okay, so next step is to continue the same thing. We're gonna do the same thing for the yellow petals. Okay, so I'm just gonna start right here. Touch the previous layer right here. Go back up. And now that we know what we're doing, while I'm right here, I'm gonna go in between and then add this connection and just paint it in. as I'm moving forward. Make sure you're breathing while you're doing this, because it's very easy to hold your breath. Takes a lot of focus. Go. And then there's this one right here. Okay, let's create that shading. And now I'm gonna make another one right here. Okay, then there is a spot right here where two petals meet, so I'm just gonna make that line going up and turn, and here's just a little bit more. And see how this part, like if we wrapped it, that would have been even harder, right? Remember how we talked about wrapping the petal in? But this part ended up being painted black, so we really did not need to do that. Okay, let's get the last petals. Let's find the connection. Where are they connecting? Here. So that one goes this way, this one goes that way, and this part is going to be painted black also, because it's right in between the petals. And then we're going to finish this petal. This one comes here, this one goes this way. All right, now in between, create a little dip, paint it in. Okay, make sure you're happy with what you're seeing here, which is good. I like what I'm seeing here. Okay, I am saving this brush. I'm not even washing it. I do not want to put any water in it. I'm just going to save it. I'm going to switch to my medium-sized flat to finish all the black here, okay? So make the brush wet, make sure it's wet. You want it damp, okay? Then get some of this paint and go ahead and paint the negative space that goes around the flower. Okay, this is good. So you can do the edges, you can work on your edges now, or you can work on them later when your painting is dry. It's up to you. I'm gonna work on my edges later, just for the sake of time. There is nothing hard to it, right? You just paint the edges black. So this brush actually is done for today. So we're gonna wash it, set it aside, and let it be. There we go. This one is still not done. So now we're going to add the lines inside of each petal to give them volume. You can do it this way, how I did it here. They're just going around the flower in the same direction, or you can do it a little bit differently, and this is what I am going to do today. So what I do is I kind of go here, and I do follow the petal, but then the other line is going to go this way a little bit. So we're going to follow the petal one line, and then here goes to meet it, and then we're going to add a couple more lines to just give it some volume. And go again, follow the big one, and then from here a little, and just kind of play with this. Now this petal is kind of hiding behind the others. So I'm just going to go right here, okay, and add those lines. Those are the first lines, and there is some more and another. Doesn't need to be perfect. This is a very organic piece, and it's done to have fun, not to create realistic live flowers, right? So here we are. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing with my yellow petals, starting again on the outside, just following the lines, just kind of following the band, and this one can hold a little bit more. So that's what I'm doing. Follow this way. This one's kind of bent, so I'm going to give it a little bit longer off a line. And again. Okay, this one's off the page, off the canvas. So I'm just going to give it like a hint that there are some lines. Here, here, and again. And this one, and then we're repeating the same thing with the next petals, just going around them. And then here, this one is almost off the canvas, so again, just giving it a hint that there is something happening. Okay, so we have all of those. I'm gonna fix here a little bit because it looks like my background didn't cover it very good and it bothers me. Okay. Okay, so the next step and the last step is the highlights. So let's clean, make sure that this brush is very, very clean because it's gonna use white on it. That's not very clean. Try again. Okay, this is good. Let's take some white. And for white, I like to add a little bit of water to it to make it spread easier, but not a lot of water, not like we did before. And yes, I'm adding mucky, dirty water to this. It's okay because the paint has a whole lot of pigment in it, and this amount of water is not going to change a lot for us. If this is bothering you in any way, please feel free to grab some clean water. No big deal. It'll still look white on the painting. Okay, and now I'm just gonna go over to my petals and add a little wave right on the edge. Right on the edge. Just following the line of those petals right here. Then I'm gonna go ahead and add a little highlight in the center. It's like a little smile, and that's it. That's all we need. And then I'm gonna do that again for my yellow petals. Also, if your black paint is not dry and you're afraid that you will get into it while drawing your white lines, just wait for it to dry. And that'll do it. Okay, here we are. So one last thing, which is an extra to that. What we can do, we could add a little bit of dots, like a little few dots to your flower if you would like to do that. And the way I like to do mine is I like to use a pencil that has an eraser, and the eraser should be really either new so that it's flat or it's almost gone. Like this one is almost gone, so it will do exactly what I want. I'm gonna dip it into my white paint, go into the bottom of the center, into the bottom of each petal where it's touching something else, and I'm just gonna put a dot in there. You can add a whole lot of interesting decorative things to your flowers. It's just a matter of what makes you happy. Now this one is hiding, so this one is not getting a dot. Okay, here. What do you guys think? Does this make it better or worse? Let me know. And a little reminder, if you want to show me what you create, please send it over. There is an email address and at the end of the episode that you can use. And if you just want my eyes on it and not being shared, I just put on there just for your eyes only, and then I'll see it, but nobody else will. Okay, I'm kind of happy with this. This is good. Let's take a minute to finish our edges. So I'm going to add a little bit more black paint to this, because for my edges, I do not want it to be as runny. There we go. The trick to this is just try and be steady and go slow, even if you do make a mistake a little bit. If your black gets onto your painting a little bit, it's all right. You're not a machine. You're not supposed to not ever make things that have a little bit of imperfections in them. Okay, I even like sometimes to push my brush into the painting and create this kind of grungy frame for it, but not everybody likes that, so you can just paint your sides. Okay, so I am just going to finish painting my sides, and then I will put my name on this painting, and something cool is going to happen to it, hopefully. Hopefully it'll get to hang somewhere on the wall and bring people joy and make them smile. And meanwhile, I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.